Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Redskins Talk TV. This is your host, Dre. All right, so we just secured our second win of the season. We're 2-4 now. Very happy with the results, kind of, sort of. I like the fact that we won, but I'm very particular. I think there's a lot of stuff that could have been done on the defensive side that would have made this game not so much of an ass clencher, because I hate these close games. Usually they tend to go against us, and usually it's because of something that happens with the defense. Now, there were some good takeaways, and I gave my analysis last night before I went to bed, so I posted that video, and you can check that out. But a couple of key things that I mentioned: special teams. Got to have discipline with the blocking, taking the right angles, and just like the week before when we played the Dallas Cowboys, piss poor angles from our guys trying to get to the ball carrier, and Devin Hester. Everyone and their grandmother knows not to kick to him. We kicked to him. He caught it near the sideline, ran across the field, took it up the other side of the field, but bad angles. There's one part where you see Reed Doughty. He takes a kind of an angle approach, doesn't get there in time, and then ends up getting tripped up by his own guy. But this guy's overcommitting. And then, of course, the one person that could have saved it, Sav Rocca, he was in the path. Two defenders were coming at him. He sidesteps to basically get himself out of the way. In a situation like this, look, we understand that you're a kicker or a punter. You don't really take a lot of the contact like a linebacker or a running back, but you have to put your body on the line. You could have wiped out two of those guys trying to block just to slow down the returner. That would have helped out. But that's a fail on Sav Rocca. Initially, I thought that it was a block in the back, but I recant that. It wasn't a block in the back. Our player just overcommitted. The Chicago's player, he eased up, didn't touch our guys. So it was another fail for special teams. Keith Burns really needs to get his shit together, because our special teams, it was totally different when we had Danny Smith. I was kind of critical of him, but that's only because of the returners that he had, such as Brandon Banks. But we're just not getting enough out of our special teams when we're kicking off to that other side, and they're making big plays or they're getting tackled to where the end result is they have good starting position. Now, heading over to offense, in my analysis, a lot of things that I said that should happen did happen. Got Robert Griffin out of the third, out of the pocket. He wasn't so much of a stationary target, so he really didn't take a tremendous amount of hits. He did get hit, but at the same time, he was running the ball. He was keeping it, tucking it, getting the first downs that were necessary. And that caused a lot of confusion for the Bears defense because they're overly aggressive, so they didn't know who to key in on, whether it was going to be Alfred Morris, Roy Helu, or Robert Griffin III. They just didn't know who to tag on, so that really helped out. And hopefully that's something that we can continue with future games, because that's going to make us more competitive. Also, running the ball. Had a lot of good runs. There were a lot of times where I just didn't feel like we got enough out of our offensive line. The run blocking, it seems like they were getting bullied around by the defensive line, and defenders were getting to the backfield. There were a couple of good plays. Roy Helu, he really went off, had a lot of great runs, 3 touchdowns, so congratulations to my man on that. He really deserved that. Alfred Morris, he had a couple of good plays. Really looking forward to him getting a lot more momentum so that he can return to form and hopefully far exceed what he did last season. And then most of all, the play from the tight ends, Jordan Reed, he looked like he's going to be a special person on the team. He had, 9 passes thrown to him, 9 catches, 1 for a touchdown, but he had a lot of critical catches that really, really helped us in order to keep that first down and keep the momentum going. Pierre Garçon, he had a couple of good plays. Not sure what happened to Santana Moss. He had a couple of drops. There's one that could have secured us for the first down, but the ball went right through his hands. But there were plays all around. Look for a little bit more from the wide receivers, but with the Chicago Bears, they did blanket our outside receivers as well as a slot. But that left a lot open for Jordan Reed. So he's going to be one of those players that you're going to start mentioning in the same breath as you would with Tony Gonzalez or Gronkowski. But he's going to be one of those players to watch. Fred Davis, he was inactive, so he's pretty much in the doghouse. Chances are he's not going to be with us next season. I really like him. Him being healthy really would have helped out. I'm pretty sure he's healthy now, but just something that they decided to not play him. So we already kind of get the understanding that he's on the outs with the team and he's going to be with someone next season. Now, over on defense, they started out, at least in the first quarter, at least the first half, looking fairly decent. But something happened, some sort of adjustment that the Bears were able to make in the second half, but our defense really started to fall asleep. It's good that we were able to score 45 points, but at the same time, the Bears being able to score 41 points means that our defense was not stopping them. And a lot of the lack of discipline, gap discipline from our linebackers, sealing up the gaps, the A gaps and the B gaps, with that long 50-yard run from Matt Forte, that really hurt us. Not so much that it was going to put us behind too tremendously, but the fact that someone could get the ball handed off, run right up the gut, and run 50 yards for a touchdown, unacceptable. As a fan, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not on the field, put my body on the line, but as a keen observer to the game, lack of discipline by defense. The corners, they were first playing up. D'Angelo Hall, he had a fairly decent game, shutting down Brandon Marshall. Emerson had a couple of good plays, but as I stated, the one person to watch was Alshon Jeffrey. There were a couple of end arounds that he had, a couple of big receptions that he had, so I knew that he was going to be very integral with the Bears offense, and stopping him would have been more crucial than stopping Brandon Marshall. Didn't really get a lot of pass catching out of Matt Forte, so that really helped out. But his running, especially on his second, well, I think it was his first or second touchdown, one of those where they were right at the goal line. London Fletcher, he eased over to his right, and he didn't fill that gap. And Matt Forte just ran right through, jumped over the guy, bam, scored the touchdown. So that was disappointing in itself because that could have been something where London Fletcher could have stopped that. Also, London Fletcher, where he allowed for Martellus Bennett to get one of those touchdowns. Martellus Bennett got a free release off the line of scrimmage, and it was just a quick snap and throw from Josh McCown, and that was another touchdown for the Bears. So once again, this is an ass clincher. Those kind of games which I don't like. I like a convincing score, but I know we're not going to always get that. A victory is a victory, so that does put us in the W column. We're 2-4 for the season. Now I get to go to work tomorrow. I know my boss, she's going to be disappointed because her brother, he's a center for the Chicago Bears, Roberto Garza. She's not going to say too much to me. I'm just see her tomorrow and I'm going to smile. There's also a couple of Bears fans, one of them which asked me if there's going to be some trash talking, but I told them, unlike the Cowboys, because I can't stand them bitches, but the Chicago Bears played a respectable game, so I don't trash talk to teams that don't trash talk to me. That's just how it goes. But this is just my takeaway from the game. I'm glad that we won. We needed this win. It was definitely a must-win situation. Now we go into the next game. I believe we got the Broncos. I have to check the schedule. But that's going to be a tough game because Peyton Manning, he's going to do a lot of his tomfoolery like he does at the line of scrimmage. And if we're not on our A game, it's going to be ugly. So hopefully we can keep that game as competitive as we did today. Hopefully it's not going to be a high-scoring game on either side. Hopefully we can beat them. But that's next week. I have to take a look at a little bit of the game film just to kind of see what are some of the things that we would need to do just to give my take on what it would take to win. But anyway, once again, I'm glad that we got this victory. And to my Redskins family, as well as anyone that might watch this video, if you enjoy this video, I hope that you like, subscribe, and share. And as always, to my Redskins family, hail to the Redskins.